Hello and welcome to the Devil's Bit podcast, Ireland's fastest growing Manchester United fan podcast. And I'm here with myself, Rudy, Glenn, and Ray. Boys, what's the crack-a-doodle do?
Hi, what's up, Rod? Glenn?
Yeah, good. 5 at the back, Nolan. How you doing, man?
No, me, Glenn. You have to play it safe these days.
Oh, stop. You're playing it safe since we're about 11, man. Will you stop?
You're only snapping because I won that €20 off you a few years back.
Did you ever get that? Did you ever get that?
Back with Aston Villa or something.
I probably still owe you that, Roddy, do we?
You probably do, Glenn, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. What's the crack, boys? You enjoying this rainy weather?
Yeah, I think it's a bit different, isn't it? Like, I mean, I'm not enjoying bleeding, going to work and the rain sticking to you. Look, I hate that sort of stuff, but, you know, you need a bit of rain every now and again as well, don't you?
Yeah. I suppose it's warm, so it's not too bad. Ray, how are you doing down there in the bottom line?
Yeah, doing good.
Yeah? You have a new background this week. I like it, man. I like it. You're switching it up.
Yeah, down in a different room at the moment. Just adjusting, you know.
Many rooms in that, Gav?
Don't want to be boasting.
Well, listen, lads, like I always say, no flip-flopping around, so that's enough of the niceties. I think we'll jump straight into transfers, because that's obviously the time of year we're in. There's a lot of news coming in, more rumours. Have we signed any deals yet? Doesn't look like it early days, though. I suppose the biggest one on the cards is Sancho. So we might as well jump straight in with this. Glenn, do you want to give us a bit of update on where we are with Sancho at the moment?
Roddy, to be honest with you, I think everyone has an update on Sancho, don't they? I'd like to meet someone that's not sick of listening to this Sancho business at the end of the day. It's mad. I actually think your man Fabrizio Romano just has a template set out for Jadon Sancho. Look, apparently the deals edging closer. As we know, teams have been agreed, personal teams between the player and the club been agreed for since last summer. People are saying United are at the offering up to 85 million and they want to add add-ons into that. Borussia Dortmund still want around 90 million for them and then add-ons. But it's looking like the deal's going to be done after the Euros. I think Ray was saying he didn't expect it to happen, Jordan the Euros. So it's looking like July anyway, you know what I mean? But I reckon this is going to rumble on again and again till he actually signs on the dotted line. That's what I'm thinking.
But are you thinking there's more of a chance this season that we're actually going to pull this off and get him in the door?
Yeah, there's talk. There's everything seems a little bit more relaxed from everything I've seen it from. Like just looking at Sky Sports News, the Darmia chef just coming across saying that he doesn't expect the deal not to go through, and that everyone that's involved in the deal are quite relaxed about it. You have to remember, like Dortmund are at the setting the deadline of July 23rd. Was still only the 24th, so it's just under a month to go before that deadline's to be met. So I'd expect them as soon as England go out of the Euros. I'd expect the deal to be well underway.
Yeah, right. And I'll come to you on that then. Is there any reason why Dortmund are letting Sancho go, do you think?
No, it's just money, Rory. That's what they do, isn't it? They have a great scouting system and they give young talent an opportunity, don't they? And you know, they're doing the same thing with Sancho, and you know, there's other players there they can cash out on in the next year as well. Haaland, we touched on that. Glenn was saying, I think a couple of weeks ago about Haaland being the new baby in town, and that's probably the case. And there's no secret now at this stage that we want the player, you know, and they're happy with it. You know, they wanted more last year. It was 120 million, so they dropped down a significant amount. I think, you know, I think it's the right amount for Sancho because he's effective and he's a big talent. So, and I think, you know, that they want to get the deal done sharp and quick so they can identify their replacement. So, you know, who's stalling here? There's only one team stalling here, and it's us. You know,
it's same old story.
Yeah.
The one thing that worries me a little bit, boys, is that I was listening to Jerry McCross on the Football Digest, and he was saying that, you know, Sancho has a history of, you know, throwing his toys out of the pram, really. When he was with Man City, he refused to go on the pre-season tour of America when Pep was there and basically told Pep on the spot, look, I'm not going because I'm joining Dortmund. Apparently, he was supposedly late for training and everything while Pep was there. So for me, that sort of a little bit of a worry, because I'm thinking we're trying to get away from players like that. We need players coming in the door that's going to be willing to work for that money, basically, and put the team first and work hard, which I suppose every player has to do at a big football club. And I just feel like that if they are true, like are we walking ourselves down a dead end again with a player that we've been chasing for the last 2 summer transfer windows, really? Do you know what I mean? And do we have a plan B in place if this deal doesn't go through? I wouldn't like to see us, put all our eggs in this Sancho basket, and then it comes to it and we can't get anyone else in the door. And if we are getting someone in the door, it's not even the second choice. It's third or fourth choice down, because we're too late to be entering into negotiations with players that we should be going for instead of Sancho. Do you get me meaning? Like,
I do get what you're saying there, Glenn, and it would be concerning if that was kind of Sancho's attitude. But if you look at young players these days, look at Mason Greenwood. I mean, if you dig under the surface a little bit, you're going to find something negative. So we saw stuff about Greenwood earlier in the year, some issues with, I don't know what it was, we won't even go in there. So it could be just the same with Sancho, in that he had a few tiffs with the manager, but I'm sure which happens with every player. If you look at Pogba, who's a bit more experienced, been around for a while. So it's not, I don't see this as a new thing with players. And Sancho's young, he probably needs a bit of discipline, maybe coming into United. Will give him a bigger club, working in a global kind of scene. You know what I mean? He'll have to kind of screw up a little bit. So that's probably not a bad thing for him. But I think he brings a lot to Dortmund. I mean, on the pitch, you can see the stats that he has from last year, and the way he worked with Haaland and the performance Haaland put in. You would hope he'd be able to bring that to the United team. But that was actually a question I had for you, Ray. I know we talked about where Sancho would fit in the team, but I suppose now that it's kind of looking like we're sealing the deal, where do you think he's going to slot in, and who do you think is he going to replace?
I think he'll slot in at the right wing position, right forward position, or whatever you want to call it these days. We haven't had one in a while. He gets loads of goals from that position. And on top of that, just as important, he gets a lot of assists, something that we've been struggling with a long time now, putting the ball into the box for the strikers, and the strikers been getting a lot of blame for that. But the truth is, a top striker, if you don't get much service, there's not much you can do. And we've seen it with Harry Kane, and straight away I was like, oh, Harry Kane in my own head, I was like, he's done, he's done. And then he puts a performance in when the team gets going. And it's generally around this time in the Euros, after like the third or fourth game, that the team step up. So we're quick to judge in that. But, the service is important. And I think he brings that bags of that. And he also brings character and flair. People that are around him will enjoy playing with a player like that, because he just transmits fear into the opposition, when he's running at you. And as well as that right wing position, I think he can alternate between, the left side, even play as a false nine, I think, with time. So there's loads of options with Sancho. It's just a perfect fit. And that's why we're maybe, Dortmund are holding out for that amount of money, because they know that we need this player badly, and we're willing to do whatever it takes to get him. I just think that we're trying to look good as well at the same time as a club, where we don't want to be, made a fool of, like we have been, history, but down the few deals there where we struggled with, competing for players and having to pay that extra little bit, and we don't want to go down that road anymore, and we just want to be strong in the market. And I think it's okay. You can't blame the club. You always talk about the business side of thing, and you have to respect that, because it's vital. But we as the fans, we just yourself, we just want to get this one over the line ASAP, so we can move on to what's next, and what's the other puzzle that the team needs.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I suppose that puzzle is winning something.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to spend big bucks like that, you'd hope that we're getting some sort of silverware at the end of it. So I suppose you're saying he's going to push into that Greenwood position. You mentioned Harry Kane there, and there's a bit of news coming out that City are getting Harry Kane. Don't want to touch on City too much, but what does that look like for us, Glenn? City are already a strong team. Bringing in Harry Kane could be could be serious push for that title. Like,
yeah, well, look, it doesn't dent the chances of retaining the title next year anyway, that's for sure. But like, who's to know what way Harry Kane's going to fit into that City side? Do you know, like, don't get me wrong, I think Harry Kane's a world-class player, but it's different going from the sports dressing room into the City dressing room. You're going in with players like Phil Foden who've won a considerable amount more than you have as a 28-year-old or a 29-year-old, whatever the case may be with his age. But like, I think it definitely strengthens them, but there's a lot of pressure then on City and Guardiola, who came out just before the season ended and said that City, don't have the money to be bidding for Kane. And when you look at that history, since they have got the owners came in, they have spent a lot of money, but they never really spent over 80, 90 million. But yet they're willing to 100 million over Kane. And then you're looking, you're saying they might even add a player into that deal as well. So they're looking like they're desperate to try and bring in a proper centre forward to probably get back to the old way of Pep playing with his teams.
Yeah, happy days, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're not going to touch on City too long because we don't like them. Even though you're wearing blue, Glenn. Even though you're wearing blue, we'll let you hate that. But boys, I suppose the next big sign we're looking at is Varane. Solid player coming in, maybe 45 million. Ray, is this, I suppose, the second best sign we want to see after Sancho?
This is the one, man. Telling you, this is the one for me. I think we said it. He's tops. I think we're getting to see that more and more as we're watching the Euros. He's quality, and there was a game on there I was watching on the telly. It was just 5-10 minutes, and the pass, and he can, left and right foot, and he's just quality player, and I think he'll bring a lot to the team and stabilising the team, and maybe cutting out some of them defensive duties from the midfield. Not having to sacrifice your two midfielders to protect your back four. I think he'll bring a lot of that, and he brings just elites him. Experience. It's a full package with him, and I think he's the best fit. He should be anyone's first option if you're looking for a centre back, and if someone like him is available, he has to be everyone's first option. And I think that's where we're going to have to act quick. Don't mess around with this one, because this team.
I think Real Madrid are saying they're willing to let him go for a good price. So, United are in for him, but someone else could easily come in, outbid us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? France are looking good in Euros. He's on show. Someone can just say that's the player we need. I suppose staying on the centre backs, then looking at Tuenzebe, who's kind of not too happy that he's not getting any game time. So it seems like he's actually maybe going out on loan. I don't know if he's know anything about that, or what's your opinion about Tuenzebe, Glenn, in general as a centre back?
So I think he's quality. I've said that since I first seen him play for United, and I think that he probably was a little bit hard done by last season. So if the rumours are true that he's saying that he does deserve more game time and that he didn't get enough game time last season, I think he's right. I think he only started 9 games last season, and you think about, there was a stage during last season where we were just horrible defensively, and we probably needed someone to come in there, with a bit of physicality when you think of Lindelof, and we didn't get that. Now I look at Tuenzebe, and I know, you look at the way he came in against PSG, hadn't played for a good year, I think it was, if not more. He came in and he didn't look out of place one bit when he was dealing with the likes of Mbappe and Neymar. Now you could put that down to the system he played that night, the 3-5-2, but I definitely think that he deserved more game time, and I feel like that he didn't get that arm around the shoulder that he probably deserved when he was going through a little bit of a bad patch during last season. But he didn't get the consistent game time that you probably need at centre back. And if he's to further his career and forge out a successful career, he probably does need to go out on loan, at least for this season, to show Ollie and us what he's capable of doing and nail down that spot. But if you're Tuenzebe and you're looking at what we're linked with Varane and Torres and all that, you're sort of saying to yourself, where am I going to fit into this team? Because we already have Lindelof, Maguire, Bally, Tuenzebe himself. So I wouldn't blame him for going out on loan. It'd probably be good for him as well.
Yeah, big time. And Maguire seems to be on fire at the moment in England. So him, and if we get Varane in, I mean, there's not much space there for Tuenzebe, I suppose. So probably alone is the best thing.
just on Varane there, you look at what he's done, like, you know, in the Euros, like he's played 3 games, he's played 270 minutes. His passing accuracy is 95%. That's 211 passes out of 221. Tackles 2, clearances 10. And here's the one for me: he hasn't been booked in the 3 games, and he's only committed 1 foul. So that's a player that you want alongside Maguire there to shore up that defence. And as Ray said there, he's definitely elite. Do you know what I mean? And for me, no fouls committed. You know, his passes 95. It's easy. It's probably people that say it's easy to get, you know, passing accuracy up to about 95% playing out from the back. But the fouls committed thing's a big one for me, because he looks to, when he wins the ball back, he looks to keep it moving straight away. You know what I mean? And that's what we need going forward. Especially when we're at Old Trafford, we win the ball back, we get it into our attacking area straight away and play the United way and counter-attack. And I think he'd be pivotal in that idea, you know what I mean? And then you're talking about Maguire there, Roddy, came back into the England squad against Czech Republic, and we thought he was brilliant. And there was one pass that he played through to Harry Maguire, where he's on the halfway line and he just pings it into the in between the lines for Harry Kane, who turns on it. Like, do you know what I mean? And I was saying to myself, there's the Harry Maguire we know. And I want to see him come back into the United fold now after the Euros in that form.
Yeah, and he was seriously pushing forward as well, like not afraid to make those runs into space, and that's what we need big time. Right, what looking at Tuenzebe going, and maybe even Williams might be going out on loan. I suppose there's a lot of competition there. That left back, he does play right back as well. What do you think? And Williams, young player, does he need that time?
I don't know. Towards the end of the season, I thought he looked a little bit out of place. He just didn't really fill out as you thought he would. And, you know, a couple of games I've seen him play, even left back, he looked more comfortable playing left back. Because, you know, he's a player that can play all. Like, I think he played left back, right back, and in centre midfield as a youth as well. So no doubt United would probably want to keep him at the club, but give him some game time to progress. So a loan is perfect for the likes of Brandon Williams, I think. Same as Glenn was saying there, and Tuenzebe. I think, you know, Tuenzebe has just everything you want from a centre-back. He just maybe didn't get the chance. So when he did get the chance, he wasn't right up the par at that game, PSG, you know. So, but encourage him. The thing about that is, for me, is that if he goes out on loan, we're definitely looking at a replacement centre-back then, you know. And we're talking about Varane, and then you're talking about Jules Koundé, just real quick, who was in that French team last against Portugal there. That's one that, you know, it's a bit tricky for me, because we're looking at a right back, and he played right back as well. So, you know, maybe the club's looking...
small, right, isn't he?
Yeah, for a centre back, it's a bit small.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was watching it last night and I was saying to myself, like, you know, what's going to happen because the Premier League is so physical, like, is he going to be able to deal with that? Long balls into the box and everything like that. That was my first.
He is a little bit small. I haven't really seen him that much to win balls in the air as well, because, you know, some players could be small, but they could have an amazing leap and make up for that. But I think, you know, the way he can play right back as well could be something that we're looking at, maybe, you know, have an option there for Wan-Bissaka at times as well. And, you know, we know how much Ollie favours Lindelof as well. So that'll keep Lindelof in the loop a lot more than it would if Varane came in, you know. So there's a situation there that they're probably looking at as well. But for me, it has to be Varane and the right back position. It'd be nice to get a back up there. If Brandon Williams goes, it'd be nice. I think, you know, towards the end of the season, we were all saying that, like, you know, Wan-Bissaka was played too much. He looks leggy. He can't get forward. You know, things get tougher when you're tired, don't they? So imagine, you know, if it's not natural for you to do what you expect of him, to get up and down that wing and put balls into the box, it's gonna come harder if you're you know, you're tired and you're exhausted. That's the last thing you're gonna be thinking about. So looking at that situation, we're gonna get more of the same next season from him, and I don't want that to be the stumbling factor, you know, where we have we filled out the team in good areas, and then we're struggling because we didn't go all out for what we really needed, which is, you know, on top of that, another replacement right back. So
just on the right back issue there, Rory, the fact that Williams is going out on loan and so is Tuenzebe, I'd look at it and I'd say that Williams probably doesn't have a future at Old Trafford. if you were to compare Williams and Tuenzebe, if you were to say now, who do you think will progress and become a regular first team starter? You'd have to go with Tuenzebe. So for me, I'm not really that bothered about Williams going out on loan, because I think this is the beginning of Williams' exit, really. I don't think anything he does next season or next season on loan will be able to force his way into the starting 11. But I do think the Tuenzebe loan deal is really important in where Tuenzebe lines up in the seasons coming, and because I genuinely think that there's a world-class player in there, I do. And I think we haven't given them enough game time. I don't want to go back over it, but you just look at him, like, do you know what I mean? And you look at the likes of Tyrone Mings and all that's in the England setup now and doing well, and I'd rate Tuenzebe over him. And you look at Tuenzebe, I think he's 22, 23 now, you know what I mean? So he does need to be pushing on to first team football.
And what is it then about Williams and Tuenzebe? What is it about Williams that doesn't cut it for you?
Too small, not physical enough. I haven't seen too much change since he first broke into the team. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to berate him and say that he's no use. I just don't think he's United quality. That's the thing. Like, he seems to be naturally right-footed, but he can't. I don't think he's made an impact when he played at right back last season, and he didn't really get a chance either. But just in the games that he played in or he came on in, I just thought, now I don't see him being that player we go to in the next, say, 5 or 6 seasons, where you'd be like, yeah, he's definitely going to be a left back. But Tuenzebe, on the other hand, I would say that he's a great chance, and I don't want us to drop the ball on him.
Yeah. No, good points there, Glenn. I suppose we can talk about players leaving all day, which, whether we're happy or not about it, that's the way football works. But I suppose let's look at who's staying then. I suppose the big one was De Gea and Henderson, and what was going to happen there, how that was going to play out, caused a lot of issues from our opinions, from what we were talking about in, who's number one. It seems like De Gea is willing to stay at Man United and kind of fight for that position, which I would agree with. I think that's great for us. My opinion is that Henderson probably hasn't been able to show his quality or lack of quality thereof. So I think De Gea being in there is solid for us. Ray, where are you sitting on this Hendo? Because I know you're a big fan of Henderson.
I would I wouldn't look. I what I seen from him with the way he was. I'll start with the hair. I always said the hair is top goalkeeper. He's unbelievable. Saves down low with his feet and the lot. I just think in the since Henderson's come back at the club, I think he felt threatened and he reacted in the wrong way. I think by giving Henderson some of what Henderson was given the hair, basically roughing him up a little bit in a nice competitive team environment way. And I think De Gea maybe just, shut off a little bit and his head wasn't in it. And of course, you'd have to, factor in the fact that he had his miss had a baby and he went off for a little while and it cost him, I just hope that if he does stay, he gets stuck in and, keeps Henderson as a second goalkeeper, because it's a win-win for United if that happens. And in saying that, Henderson, when he came in, I thought he showed everything that we need to see from a keeper mentality-wise. And that only lasted about 2 or 3 games before he made that mistake against AC Milan. And just something made me shifted straight away. I was like, that's not the way to do it. And, in my opinion, you don't cost a team like that with just trying to, pull a save off of the cameras. And ever since then, I thought he was just a little bit rash coming out when he didn't need to come out, maybe overindulging in that sweeper role, just the small little things. But he's only.
I think you said something there. De Gea's head wasn't in it. Henderson shows a lot of confidence, kind of cocky. De Gea's more subtle, a bit more quiet, you might say. And I'd say he, even in some instances, lacks a bit of confidence that maybe he needs. If we saw that penalty that, at the end of the final, you kind of knew looking at him that he wasn't up for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that was that lack of confidence.
I always think back on the story that came out around the time when he was getting replaced, and the back four basically saying that they prefer Henderson over De Gea because of what Henderson brings off the ball. And I think it became a little bit like that, where he was just kind of not there and not controlling the back four or being a part of the back four anymore, where, back four, they'll make a mistake, or maybe the pass is just off point, or, putting De Gea in a situation, and maybe the talk back wasn't encouraging and stuff like that, and I don't really think you can have that in a team. You need everyone together, and I think Henderson brought that. I think he brought that encouragement, and even if the back four, Lindelof is getting bullied around, and
a bit more communication, probably.
Yeah, and encouragement, and maybe the hair was like, I'm sick of this back four here. I'm sick of Lindelof getting bullied off the ball.
So
there's
maybe
not much more they can say.
Happy with a Frenchman in there. Glenn, where are you sitting on Hendo and De Gea?
Well, I know people are saying that De Gea wants to stay. Anyone that's on 350 grand is going to want to stay in their current job. That's the way I look at it. But I'm also looking and saying De Gea has been unbelievable for us, excluding the last 18 months to 2 years. But just to go on what Ray is saying about the back four coming out and saying that they prefer Henderson, I think that was just rumour. I don't believe any player at United would be able to come out and say that, let alone for them. And if it did come out, I think there would be an internal investigation into that. I think that was just papers just throwing a story out there to try and unnerve players at United. Or look at De Gea, as you said, Rory, about that penalty at the end of the Europa League, still wouldn't hold it against him. Shouldn't be coming to that stage. He probably should have saved one or two of them, didn't. But I look at Henderson and I just don't think he's United's number one. And I said this a couple of months ago on this podcast. He says that, you want to get Henderson a good run of games indeed to see if he is capable of taking that number one spot. And I feel now that he wasn't capable of doing it. I'll go to that Liverpool game. I'll go to the goal against Salah. He breaks through. Henderson turns his back and runs back onto his line, leaving the whole goal open for Salah to just slot in. I don't think that he would. I think we're in a bit of trouble now, because I think the goalkeeping issue is going to be an issue that dominates the next season for us, really, because you can't be going in with two number one goalkeepers, as Ollie keeps saying that he has. I feel like we need to give De Gea another chance. I'd love it. I'd love him to be able to get back to some sort of form that he was in before he went on this slump. But you look at when Henderson first came in, he was talking like he was number one. There was bits coming out of his camp saying that he always wanted to be United number one. He sees himself as number one. Chris Wilder was coming out, the Sheffield United manager at the time, saying that he always said it in the Sheffield United dressing room that he was going to be United number one. And you look at De Gea, his confidence was shot to bits, and you have a player coming in, a young goalkeeper coming through the academy. That obviously unnerved De Gea a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And you look at where De Gea is in his career now. He's not even Spain's number one anymore. Like, he's not starting in any of the European games or anything at the moment. So, although the romantic side of me would want De Gea to stay and come back to some sort of his best, but maybe I think you say to yourself, would it change in seeing me doing well? Because he's been in a dip of form for the last 18 months. But I do not think that Henderson is the goalkeeper to be in goal for us if we were to be winning Premier Leagues or on any of the big trophies. Definitely not. Very.
That smells like trouble. Then you're basically saying neither of them are up to the quality of number one at the moment.
Yeah, but you can't. I mean, you can't trust De Gea, but you can't trust Henderson. Ray just said it there. He came in, he added a little bit of confidence to the back four. The Man City game was a good example of that. The way he threw the ball out to Shaw for Shaw's goal. Everyone was calling it Schmeichel-esque and all. It was giving him a lot of praise. Then you look at, as Ray said, the AC Milan game. What was he doing for that save? He tried to do it again in the second leg. And I'll say it again, that Liverpool game, that just showed me he's not able for it. Sheffield United is a standard. That's the way I'm going to say it.
I think you were bringing that Salah goal to the grave with you, Glenn.
Rory, I'd never seen anything like it. I'd never seen a goalkeeper turn his back on the play. This player is running through on goal, one-on-one. Now, he's a good, say, 35 yards out. That's grand. But he turns his back from the edge of his own box and runs back to his goal line. Have you ever seen that?
Definitely got his bearings wrong there, because you look how close Salah ended up coming in on top of him. Having an open goal to slot the ball in, like he definitely got his bearings wrong.
It was the colour of the seating in the stadium.
That's what it was.
What was it? The colour of the seating, yeah.
I'm telling you, boys.
We
I'd
did
go with
look
Dynasty.
after they changed them to black. We picked her up. I think Bob was passing was ops.
But I suppose we're talking about United legends there, De Gea being one of them, and I think he will go down as a legend at United from previous years, maybe not last year. But then you're looking at Ronaldo. So rumours of Ronaldo coming back into the team, and we talked about this before, but there has been rumours of an offer to Ronaldo of 20 million in wages for the year. Lads, I don't know what to say about this anymore, to be honest, because it just keeps coming up, keeps building. I mean, are we really going to be paying so much money for these players that we want and then paying extra for Ronaldo, even though he's on top form, doesn't show any signs of his age having any impact on his performance? What do you think quickly on this one? Is it going to happen?
No.
Bring him back if we get what we are talking about at the start. And if you have enough money to pay the wages, then bring him back. Or if you're able to pull off some magical swap deal with Pogba. And even then, I'd be thinking, like he's going to score you penalties. And, he's going to score you headers in the box because he hasn't lost that leap yet. But I've seen him try and do a couple of things off the left-hand side against France. And he didn't really get a look in. And that's understandable because, he hasn't got the legs anymore. That spring, that to get past the player, probably even the confidence, having to change your mentality for being, adapting to a new role like that, just being number 9 and being a goal machine now and not, and I wouldn't be surprised, man, if they go for something like this. I wouldn't be surprised. It's not a very, very bad deal. It's not a shocking deal, but there's other things you need to get right first.
Yeah.
If that's the case,
no way.
If that's the case, then why not get Harry Kane? Sorry, why not?
How do you go about like with Ronaldo's to come in? You have to change a whole style of play towards Ronaldo. Ray said it there. Look, I think Ronaldo's the greatest of all time. His goal scoring record proves that. The fact that he's playing this 50th European Championship proves that. The fact that he's won everything in the game at club level, he's halfway there in terms of international football with his European Championship in 2016. I just don't see him us going and bringing him in even for that amount of money, because he isn't the player that left us. He's 36. If you're being romantic, you'd want him to stay. You know what I mean? You'd want Jimmy stay. You'd want him to come back. But I just don't see it. You know what I mean? Even at that 20 million in wages, no, there's other players out there that we need to go with.
Yeah, you need to get other stuff.
It won't happen.
You're looking okay there. If you keep Martial, and you keep Cavani fit, and you bring in Sancho, and Diallo comes up, and comes up with a bit of magic. Diallo could start off on the right-hand side, and you could have Sancho on the left-hand side, and you could have Rashford through the middle and give Rashford what he wants in a few games this season, 10, 15 games, and let's see how he does with that. If Cavani's not fit, or if Martial's not putting the ball in, Sancho gives you options, man.
Well, see the way I'm saying that there is a great point. When you looked at Ronaldo last night against France, he didn't do anything. He didn't try and press. He didn't try and drop in or anything. When he did drop in, he was only there filling space. He wasn't trying to cover across the pitch or anything. When Martial does that, he gets eaten alive. I know Ronaldo, you can't compare Ronaldo and Martial, but at the same time, I don't think we could afford to give that up. You know what I mean? For a front man to not be contributing defensively, I just don't think what that sort of team at the moment. We can't give up a number like that. Portugal were basically playing with 10 men when they were defending last night. I don't think we can afford to do that. Against that squad of Ronaldo either. It's just you'd have to build the whole team around Ronaldo, and I don't think we're there. I don't think you can do that.
If you put yourself in Ronaldo's shoes, why would you want to force anything? You're still getting the same amount of wages. There's no wages cut. You're still going to be scoring 30 goals this season, and you're still going to have an option to go anywhere you really want next season if you decide to take a cut. So just people like to blow up stories and PR from United. We're bringing back Ronaldo because other deals are stalling just to keep you going. It's beautiful romance in it, but
this has been going on since he first left, though. You know,
yeah,
every summer since he
that's
left, supposedly on the way back in 2013, before Fergie retired, it was supposedly in the works that he was going to be coming for that next season. You know what I mean? If Fergie wasn't going to retire and all, obviously when he retired, that went out the window. Why would Ronaldo want to come back and work under David Moyes? How true that is, you don't know, but there was strong insinuations we said with the media that
David
was.
Moyes was bringing everyone to the club, wasn't he? He ended up with
we really gave you a phone call.
yeah. Wasn't going to leave Ireland. Wasn't going to leave.
You didn't answer. But yeah, boys, talking about the Euros there, talking about that France game, Portugal. Some drama there the other night in that league, I suppose. That 4 teams with Hungary, Germany, Portugal, France. Seriously, like I was listening to one game and I was watching the other. Like it was some night. Although the football wasn't amazing, like but the results and the amount of goals that was scored, and Hungary are going through, Portugal are out, then Germany are out. You know what I mean?
Hungary were unbelievable, weren't they? Like honestly,
yeah, some effort,
wasn't there? Yeah, right, exactly. Some effort there. Like the fact that they got a draw against Germany and they drew against France, and they were unlucky. They played well. They defended well against Portugal for the first, say, 70, 75 minutes.
Yeah.
They were unlucky not to go into the next round.
Yeah, it was a big one for Hungary, and it was great to see them do it.
That's a great quality in the football, because I think these Euros, like I've seen a lot of teams just running on steam for them first few games, and you're not really coming across a lot of quality. But in that group, it's just jammed, in it. The games, the one I was watching, we were all watching the Portugal and France one was just quality, man.
Few dubious decisions, though. Honestly, I mean, France's first penalty. Come on, there's no way that's a penalty for me.
I actually think Fernandes probably did give away a penalty there at the end. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought that was more blatant.
Yeah, wasn't it?
See, yeah,
behind, like what was he thinking?
Stand on anyone's calf like that. I just think he bottled it. He gave 3 penalties, and then didn't have the bottle to give the big one, the obvious one, where last couple of minutes to go, like.
And it wouldn't knock Portugal out.
Do you think that the first one was a penalty? Do you think Portugal's the first decision he made? Do you think that was a penalty?
Yeah, the dig, yeah.
Yeah, the dig. The hook.
Yeah, man took some hook, didn't he? He just got up and was like, oh, all right. Brand new. It's a penalty.
But you know what? He actually gets clobbered, right? Here's the whistle, looks up at the referee, says the referees that they're giving Portugal the penalty, and then he lies on the ground then getting treatment. Now, I did think it was a penalty, but when you go to France's first penalty, they were saying that the referee was obviously trying to even things out, because Tomato didn't do anything wrong. He body checks him, but he steps across him. There's nothing in the rule to say that you can't step across a player. I mean, you see where the ball was and everything. There's no way.
Yeah, and it wasn't blatant like into the chest or anything, and it wasn't into the back either. It was almost shoulder to shoulder. I thought that one was softer. I thought you could have, he could have got away. He would have got away with, just waving that off. It would have been better for him if he just waved that off, and then he could have maybe refereed the game and right at the right stage, and not being influenced by what he just did, because I think that Fernandes one was a penalty.
Yeah, and it was the end of the game, that was it? Was that the
end? Yeah. Unbelievable. But I'm looking at United players in the Euros. I'm sure you are too, boys. And you're looking at Sweden top in that group, England top in that group, France top in that group. And that's great for us because you have Maguire, you've Shaw in there for England, Pogba, and then you have Lindelof in there for Sweden. Like, so maybe Lindelof has actually shown something new that we haven't seen. But and then you have Portugal top in the third places. Yeah, no, we won't get into that, I'm sure. But
now, looking at Lindelof, Roddy, looking at the Lindelof one, I just don't think there's that pressure on him playing for Sweden as there would be for us. That's what I'm thinking. There's no expectation on Sweden going into this year's Euros at all. I mean, they qualify for every major tournament, and that's great, but they don't have any expectations to win it. If you're Sweden, you would be expecting to get out of a group where 3 qualify. So there's a nice little, if there's a nice little incentive there that if you're Lindelof to just sit there and enjoy it. Because there's games for United he plays that he probably doesn't enjoy, you know what I mean? Where for Sweden,
you're looking at the difference in how we, what sort of players are around him, and I think that's the factor. He can stand out, and people look to him to control the game and speak out at the right time, and they'll do what he says basically. But when you're in Man United's team, you're following Harry Maguire, you're following the keeper's orders, you're following this and that. And have you got the ability to, not get overwhelmed and still have a cool head to come on top in them duels and all? And I think he doesn't.
He's looked at, Ray. He's probably looked at as one of the best defenders in the Sweden squad.
Yeah, definitely.
He has that profile because of the size of the club that he's playing for and everything.
Definitely, and he's bringing on that in, just exactly, and they appreciate him a lot, so he can maybe have that confidence to bring that confidence into every game now, and I think he'll probably even get better. I think, put in some performances, and, Ollie's going to love him even more now. He'll probably just sign off on the centre-back and just say, "No, we leave it." He's fantastic.
Where they go, you never know.
Yeah.
But I suppose looking at Pogba then as well, doing some serious stuff with France. Glenn, I know you had some insight on him. What's
insight, Roddy? Now, come on, let's.
Well, insight, whatever.
Insight cap on.
Look, I think Roddy. I think Pogba is obviously playing well for France. Everyone can say that. I don't think he particularly played well against Germany, especially in the second half. I think the assist he gave for the goal against Germany was great. Probably one of the best moments of the matches. That's why I think he won man of the match. Last night was a little bit different. You've seen him. We're talking about the pace of Mbappe in the first half. You see Pogba play an inch perfect ball. I think Mbappe was probably that's the second goal you're looking at. Yeah, the second goal where you're seeing Benzema run onto that ball with Pogba, lovely weight. But in the first half, Pogba done that as well for Mbappe. Mbappe was proven to be offside. But I mean, look, you're looking at Pogba surrounded by world-class players in that French team. So again, he has a chance to express himself. He probably doesn't have, as he said, he doesn't have the defensive restraints that he has at United at France. But again, I'll just look at it. For me, when you look at Pogba and you look at United, you're looking at work rate. That's what it comes down to for me. And you have Andros Townsend coming out there today. It was TalkSport talking about how he's underappreciated and all. And the English have this mentality in the Premier League and English leagues where you have to work hard on and off the ball and all. But we don't appreciate Pogba in this country because he doesn't do that. They're Andros Townsend's goals. So I think that was a shocking thing for a pundit to say. You know what I mean? When you're getting $200,000 a week, you've been taking the club on a merry-go-round since you've been there. There's a chance you're leaving on a free and all in the summer and all. You know what I mean? What you want is what you want is a player that's going to be able to cover the ground on and off the ball. Do you know what I mean? And he hasn't got that. And I think anytime you look at him playing for France, I think it's a kick in the teeth for United fans. I do, to see the way he expresses himself there and everything, and how he looks to be enjoying his football. I suppose you can't hold that against him, but at the same time, you'd love to see him put that effort into when he's playing for us. You see him coming out there last night with his hair and all done the Juventus colours. Then he's actually coming out and talking about it at the end of the game and everything. And then he's saying at the end of it, I just want to concentrate on the Euros. Well, if you did want to do that, you probably wouldn't talk about your haircut. If you're asked about your haircut, you'd probably push by it. But he seems to only want to, I don't want to say stick the bill in, but he always seems to want to stir the pot when he's away with France and it comes to talking about other clubs and when it comes to talking about United, which is something I just can't stand. So when I see him doing well, I don't know how I feel about it. That's the way I look at it.
Now, Glenn, I just call that insight. Even if it is your own insight, it's an opinion. So you can't have me for saying that. Ray, we always talk about the chemistry that's building between Pogba and Fernandes. Fernandes is doing very well with Portugal, I would say. Some great moments in there. Of course, he's coming up against world-class teams like France and Germany. Don't know if we put Hungary in the world-class stage or they managed to draw against them. So maybe we won't say that yet. But we'll see how they get on going forward. What do you think about the two players? Are they putting in a good performance for their countries? Do you agree with Glenn that Pogba's probably, saying that he's... Well, I don't get from what you're saying, Glenn, is that he's not too happy at United.
Yeah, he's definitely not, and I just think he can't say that. I just think he can't say that because there is a level of respect there in a certain, he understands to a certain extent what the club means, and he can't come out. I think if it was a different club and he'd be in this situation, I think you'd see a horrible Pogba. I think there's a level of respect there, knowing that he came up through the ranks and spend a lot of time in the youth, and then
I wouldn't call it respect, Ray, at all, man. I don't know what you're talking about, Damon. Like,
I'd say,
what
I'm trying to say, like, if it was a different club and he'd be in the same situation here now, I'd say he wouldn't give two rats of what he's talking about. But I think there's a certain level there because it's United and he understands the club a little bit more than he would the rest. I don't like the situation either with running down the contract or whatever his mindset is. I'd want, like I said it, I'd love to see players to the same level in the United squad that are in that French squad. And I think you get to see a Pogba that everyone's been wanting to see. I think there's massive reason that he hasn't reached that highest potential because the club hasn't been ran on and off the pitch well in the last 5 years. We've been all over the shop, and we've had players playing alongside him that you'd never see playing him at the same quality in the French team. So he'd had to carry a lot on his shoulders. But I right on the spot, seeing a difference when a quality came into the team, when Bruno came into the team.
Bruno, yeah.
Harry Maguire, players like that he can just kick on now. And I noticed something in this game where France were very kind of negative in the midfield. They were static when Talisca was on the pitch. And I thought Pogba was just, he wasn't playing well, not as well as, because I think he adapts a different mentality when he plays so defensively. He might look a little bit leggy and he might come across that he's not doing what's necessary. His body language might, because he's used to being a flair player. Pogba's been this player that picks up, in the Juventus team where he picks up positions almost like that 10 role, man. I'd go as far as saying that I consider him on the level of Diabala when it comes to things like that in his younger days. And then he's come into a United team where he's have to be defensive and, forget about everything that he's been putting into the game up to that point where he, got him so far being that elusive player where he can score from outside the box and suddenly have to switch up and become this defensive player and more controlled. And yet you could argue the fact that at that level he should be able to do that. But if you're carrying a team that's woeful along the years and you don't see a way of expressing your abilities in that team, I think you'd suffer, man. You'd suffer if you're anyone.
I know, can I just say something there? Because I get where you're coming from, right? And I'll agree with you that he hasn't played in the best United team. But when you're brought in for 89 million, you should be given everything you have on the pitch every game. I don't think Pogba has done that for United. And I don't think you can really disagree with that. You could pick out a load of clips of him letting men run off him constantly and everything. Do you know what I mean? Not even looking over his shoulder and all. Doesn't know where his man is. I mean, he's given away a couple of penalties that have been absolutely outrageous. You go back to that Arsenal game where he slid in. You know what I mean? He just slid in to probably, in my opinion, to make himself look like he was doing something. I don't know who he brought down. It was the game that we were beaten by Arsenal at Old Trafford last season. You know what I mean? You look at the season before, the end of the season before that against West Ham, where he puts his hands up to block his face and everything. Like, it's things like that you don't see when he's playing for France. And I know it's an incentive when you're playing for better players, but when you're the marquee signing, when you're the biggest player at the club and the best player at the club, you have to show that on the pitch. And you said something about the club hasn't been run right on or off the pitch. Again, I can't disagree with you there, but it's no player's job to ensure that things are running smoothly off the pitch. Do you know what I mean? It's only a player's job to make sure that things are going right on the pitch. And I don't think he's done that enough in the 4 or 5 years that he's been at us. And I know we sort of have this sort of discussion anytime you bring Pogba up, but I just get to a stage where I think, like, how many more excuses can you actually make for him, really? Do you know what I mean? Like, he hasn't done enough in the Premier League since he's been there. There's been no individual awards for him. You look at Kevin De Bruyne and everything, players like that, who, when the teams haven't been doing well, they have been doing well individually. When the team's not doing well, Pogba's not doing well. Do you know what I mean? When you look at it, if Pogba's not doing well, does the team do well? And you'd have to turn around and say, yeah, if Pogba's not playing great, it doesn't really have that an effect on the team, I don't think. And that's my opinion on it. Do you know what I mean?
That's fair enough, man. That's fair enough. I'd like to see. I understand what you're saying. It's all true, but if you put Kevin De Bruyne, for example, in the deep defensive role, what's going to happen then? That's what Pogba is to me. He's Kevin De Bruyne, and he's these sort of players. He's Tony Kroos, man. Tony Kroos isn't a defender that you'll see smashing up centre midfielder, smashes up in the tackle or that. He'll just get into position, and he knows I have Casemiro there. That the minute he wins that ball, I'm right there to pick that up but they just utilise him in a different way. I think they got it wrong, man, and they've been getting it wrong up until Ollie came in. That's why I'm behind Ollie, because the minute he came in, I seen the changes in players where they were like, these players are playing the way they feel like they should be, not the way Jose Mourinho felt like they should play. And having to, I'm the brain, you're just a player. Remember?
Yeah.
Things like that. I feel like that's why I'm behind Ollie, and I feel like we need to get the best out of the situation we're in now with the players we have and add on to it, because we haven't been able to get the best out. We haven't
even when you look at them stats that's going across the bottom of the bottom of the screen, and you're looking at it, 9 successful long passes. No, that's brilliant. Doesn't get them numbers for you.
They were them passes, Glenn, that everyone's looking around and is like, where's that going? And before you know it, they're in on goal. Like, it's top class. And we're talking about Tony Kroos. Like, I think the game plan against Germany was every time he's on the ball, Pogba, you just get it off. And I think he stuck it up to him, and he whacked into him a few times, and he said, I'm the best player on this pitch.
How do you explain his walk rate for France though compared to us? Like, I mean, last night he had 3 ball recoveries. I mean, you'd be lucky to get that.
He's never good at that.
You know what I mean? Like,
I never said he was he's great at that. He's sometimes he does be chasing the ball into areas where, like, traps, following traps around the pitch when he's playing for United and getting passed around, and it looks very bad. I don't know why it's different in the French team. Maybe because the French team don't let him get away with that sort of stuff. So then again, it comes down to what's around him. I don't think anyone has the bottle to turn around and say, Paul Pogba, what are you doing? Even Harry Maguire in the team. Bruno's taking a different approach where, he's trying to, he's came out and said some things like, and fair play to Bruno for it. I'm not doing that. I want Pogba to sign for this club and all, and that's a different approach. And I think you need to have the right approach. I think France have it down, and it's down to a T, and it works because they use him. They use that passing ability that's second to none in the world, man. Not even to Tony Kroos. If you let Pogba spread the ball, every single time it's spot on. I think when he gets the ball at United, he's wrecked. Because he's chasing the ball into shadows, and there's no structure behind the press or that.
And then, right, because I agree with both.
I don't want to be pro Pogba or Pogba FC here, because I'm coming across like that.
All the time.
It is what it is, man. But I cannot, accept the fact that, like, we let Pogba go, and then you're missing Pogba because we've got everything right, but then you don't have that. What Pogba brings, that's one of my biggest fears. Watching United without, a great footballing team, but we're missing something. And when you deep it, it's Pogba. So that's
Yeah. I'd agree with
What do you
both.
think, Rory?
Signing a player for that much, sorry, Ray, I missed that now. Was that cheeky little comment? Oh, he
No,
wasn't.
man.
Signing a player for that much, Glenn, you do expect probably value for your money, and you want him to do things that maybe he's not too keen on doing, like Jose Mourinho maybe pushed him to do. But like Ray's saying there, in the French team, he has that quality around him, so he knows that if he chase back, wins the ball, something's going to happen with that ball. It's not a waste of time. You know what I mean?
Rory, lead by example, man. Don't tell me that he hasn't got that quality around him at United, like, you know what I mean? If you're in that position at United and you feel like you don't have it, educate the players around you. Let them know, look, when I win the ball, I'm expecting you to run into these channels or these avenues because that's where the ball's going. It's not that difficult, you know what I mean? Like, I know the quality's not the same, but I'm sure if you explain to your teammates what you're going to do when you win the ball back and what runs you're expecting them to make, then that should happen. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what I feel
maybe
like.
Maybe they're not the runs that Ollie's telling them to make, you know? Because that's not the way
that's another thing, Roddy. But things that happen on the pitch aren't always necessarily what the manager says. I mean, I don't want to go way off topic, but just because I'm saying that, I'll give an example. When Ireland played France in the qualifiers for the World Cup in 2009, no one's going to tell me that Trapattoni told us to go out and dominate possession the way we did and be as creative as we did, because every other game suggested before that he wasn't capable of doing it. So and there's no secret that the players got together before the game and came up with their own strategy to play France. But what I'm saying is, not everything that the managers say on to do on the pitch, you know, comes to fruition, really. You know what I mean? You have to start thinking for yourself. So I just don't buy into that, like, where the difference with France is more quality around them. The chap's getting paid a great wage at United and should be willing to put the work in. Do you know what I mean? It's like us, we're getting paid the work. If you're asked to go in and clean the toilets, you're not going to like it and you'll probably complain about it. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to do it. Do you know what I mean? And it's probably for minimum wage. You're not getting 200 grand a week to do it. He is.
I agree with you, Glenn, but I think it's not as... I think it's not as simple as that. I mean,
5 year deal.
You're talking about passing the ball to, say, Kante compared to Fred. I mean, you know the result you're going to get when you do that is not going to be the same.
It's massive.
You're after running.
Well, let's look at this. Let's look at this.
And who's making them runs?
You've Greenwood, you've Cavani, you've Bruno Fernandes, you've Pogba, right? That's half the team. Would you say that that's quality in that team? There, would you?
Yeah.
I'd say Cavani is not Mbappe. I say Cavani cannot get onto the end of a ball like that Pogba played through. You know.
But are you telling me that with Cavani's movement, that Pogba can't play with him? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Cavani is the wrong one to use. I think Cavani's the wrong one to use because you have to use Cavani to his strengths now that he has left. You know, I think putting a ball into the box for Cavani off the right or the left hand side.
Rashford then, Ray.
Right.
Rashford.
Yeah, Rashford. Where's Rashford been? You know,
Rashford on the left.
Season. Yeah,
Rashford
and
we've seen it. We've seen it. We've seen
it last night, though. But Mbappe was coming in from the left. Do you know what I mean? Predominantly.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying from the left. But you're talking about Paul Pogba not putting in his work. Like if you move Rashford out to the right, he's not giving you the same as he is on the left. So it's not just Pogba as a player who operates that way. Do you get me? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Rory, do you know what I mean? Pogba evidently is a centre midfield player. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing to say that Pogba's an attacking midfielder. There's nothing to say that he's a defensive midfielder. Do you know what I mean? If you're someone that has his physique and his agility and his balance, do you know what I mean? You should be able to do that box-to-box game. We don't see him doing it, not because he can't, because he won't. That's where I'm coming from with it. He doesn't want. I'll keep repeating myself. He doesn't do the hard work because he doesn't want it. Now, Ray made a great point there when he says that maybe in the France team, he probably doesn't get away with it, which is probably true when you have the likes of Griezmann and all that, you know what I mean, Varane and all, you know what I mean, barking orders around and everything. But at the same time, what sort of influence has he got in the United dressing room if players can't turn around and tell him when he's not putting his shift in?
Yeah, that needs to change, man. It needs to come from a player. Pogba says, I'm looking at this player and he's on par with me and he's talking to me. So I'm listening. I'm looking at Pereira saying, Pogba, do that space there. No, mate. You do it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's not good enough, though, man. If you're a professional footballer, man, that is not good enough. You can't be looking at players and saying, I'm better than you, so I shouldn't be doing that job.
But you know, as a whole package, as a whole package, and look, don't get it twisted, and it has to come from the manager as well. And Deschamps is a manager that Pogba always speaks highly of, and it's the way Deschamps treats Pogba as well. So there's that there as well. Like, they don't want to be
treating Pogba though. I just don't want
giving him what he wants. Giving him what he wants. Yeah, just giving him what he wants.
And I think United, that's probably the tone that was set when Ollie came in.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
You see the vibes in the press conference and all, you know.
Yeah,
you don't see that everywhere else. You know, you don't see that with Pep Guardiola. You know, there's a level of respect there, that professionalism. I think Ollie is taking another approach.
Quite a friendly approach
because he's been in the youth setup, Ollie, as well. So he'd have that connection where the youth setup is not as serious. So if you're suddenly coming into the United team with some of these players that you've coached and you're taking a different approach, you're going to be like, he's phony. You know, what's going on here? Why is he trying to dominate me if that's not his personality? So I think he has to approach in the right way, and I think he's doing it. But it comes down for what's on the pitch. Ollie's not the mastermind, lads. You know, he's not the mastermind of a tactical genius. He pulled off some tactical decisions that shocked us during the season, where you're like, the boys, I think this one's on Ollie. I think Ollie got this one right. You know,
I don't think Fergie was a tactical genius either, you know what I mean?
He wasn't. He had practically swung up his sleeve and, you know, players like that can come in and neutralise teams, but he wasn't a manager, Fergie, that you could say, right, like, that's spot on Fergie. But what he knew what to do, Glenn, wasn't it? It was to buy at the right time and identify what the team needs at the right time. Yeah. And knows how to, you know, treat these people. And I think we're getting that off Ollie. Obviously not to that extent, because he's not Alex Ferguson. But there was a time where we was shifting from Pogba being completely woeful for whatever 4 seasons, 3.5 seasons, whatever it was, to where this season where he came up with a bit of magic, and we were like, can Pogba sustain this for the remainder of? No, he fell off. He fell off a little bit, but so did Bruno, so did Rashford, so did the whole team.
When you look at Bruno, Radar, when you look at why Bruno probably fell off, is because he played, you know, virtually every game. You look at Pogba, and I know he went out with that toe injury and all, so he was injured, so there was a little bit of match fitness and all, but Pogba didn't play as much games as Bruno did.
He had
what?
He had COVID.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. That's
I think the Pogba subject we always get into, and it's always a debate. But like, let's get on to a few other players who are playing the Euros, because I'm very impressed.
Leave it at that, right? Just leave it at that.
What's happening with England? The clean sheet coming through the group stage is very impressed. Maguire, Shaw, and there, Rashford coming on, putting in a few minutes. You know, not seeing much of him, but he's in there anyway. How big is that clean sheet coming through the group stages? I mean, the commentary was saying they haven't done it since '66. So is this kind of an omen coming into the next game? You know,
they look for that, wouldn't they? The media would look for that when it comes to England winning something. Jesus Christ, they're clutching at straws. Do you know what I mean? Now, do you know what it is, Rory? I tell you, there was a lot of concern about England's defence going into the tournament. You know, you had Maguire out there for the first 2 games and everything, and as I said there before, you had Tyrone Mings coming in as centre back, like. So they thought they had problems. Do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong; it's always great to keep clean sheets, but now we're going into the business end of the tournament. You know what I mean? Next up for England is Germany, and a lot of people are saying that, you know, England would be favourites for it now, which I don't think goes well for England, because Germany haven't played well. They played well against Portugal. They didn't play particularly well against France. Like, I didn't see the Hungary game last night because I was watching the France game. But, you know, not any disrespect to Hungary, and they've done well through the tournament to get the points they got on the board and work really hard. And it shows you what happens when a team works hard for each other, what you can do. But I don't think you should write Germany off, and I think England going in as favourites works to Germany's benefit. Really, do you know that way, like? And I'd probably expect now Germany to get one over England in the last 16.
Yeah, Germany were looking a bit stale. I mean, they turned it on when they need to, but overall, like, they weren't urgent about the win or whatever. Like, what do you think? Maguire, Shaw, looking good?
Yeah, I think it was a good time to bring Maguire in, boys, because you know, missing that Czech Republic game for Maguire, then you would have been left thinking, when is he going to play, or is he going to be able to step in such a big game and do the same job? So it was perfect time for Maguire, and that's on Southgate, wasn't it? Everyone's criticising him, even myself. Like, I was so quick to jump on it, but he's put in and he had a great game, and just as Glenn was saying there, this is a cracker of a game, innit? It's one of them games, England, Germany, a lot of history. A lot of these players, the German players, are playing in England, so it's going to be a great game. Don't know, England. When Sancho came on there,
Yeah, he did.
Sancho came on for a few minutes and he was lively, wasn't he? A couple of minutes.
Looked confident.
He looked confident, and he the pace in which he was going at players, trying to go at players, and then you had Rashford making runs for him, overlapping them and all. And there's that chemistry thing we're talking about. We're always talking about it.
And Rashford had a good chance there. I think he came in at the box, into the box on the right side.
Yeah, that was the one where Sancho was on the ball and he waited till Rashford got around him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And then I think he squared the ball or something at that stage. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Things like that, like the minute, Sancho comes on, Rashford gets going. So there is a level of what we were just talking about there, that chemistry thing between players. Isn't that like...
Yeah.
My only issue with Sancho is that...
It's Pogba.
Yeah, it's all Pogba's fault, yeah. A leaf out Graham Souness's book, yeah, everything's Pogba's fault. No, the only thing I have with Sancho is that you've a £90 million player on your bench that you don't even put him in the first team squad for the first game. You keep him on the bench for the second game, and you bring him on for the last 7 or 8 minutes or something, was that when he came on?
Yeah, it was only a few minutes.
So I'm saying to myself, I said earlier that, there was talk about, how Sancho applied himself and all when he was at Man City before he went to Dortmund. And I'm thinking now, I think, as I said before, I think Gareth Southgate is a decent manager. I think he's trying to manage the squad well in terms of Rashford and all that, because we know that Rashford's carrying shoulder and ankle injuries and everything. But is Sancho putting enough into training for England to deserve being picked over the likes of Sterling or Bakary Saka? Because you're looking at Saka that plays for Arsenal, and he was man of the match. He was unbelievable.
Yeah,
But you're saying to yourself, why would he be getting ahead of Jadon Sancho, who Southgate would know what Sancho's about, really? You know what I mean? In terms of his goals and his assists. I think he got 8 assists and 23 goals for Borussia Dortmund this season. Like, do you know what I mean? He's obviously had a bigger hand in playing than Saka has. Obviously over the last couple of seasons. So why isn't Sancho being picked? Like, part of me is saying it's probably because he's been reserved for the last stages for the games against the likes of Germany. But then I'm sort of thinking then, because I was listening to your man Jeremy Cross was saying, is it something to do with attitude that he's not starting for England? Because that doesn't really make sense, does it?
No, it doesn't make sense. And you'd like to think that if Southgate is the manager that people do think he is, that he has the bottle to look further than the group stages, and plan further on. And maybe this is a move that he's playing, where he's keeping these young players or players that think they should be in that team, Grealish, Sancho, keeping them for the right time. And maybe we'll get to see that as if England progress. But if they don't progress, then you're going to be left with what you're just after asking yourself there, what's going on? And maybe his head's not in it. I'm thinking that there's so much on the line here with the deal. Maybe his head's somewhere else. And the bit of training that they are managing to get in, it doesn't look right, maybe, since they've come back. Maybe the fitness test is not right up there. But
I'd say there's a bit of speculation there, boys. Like, he's a young player. He's probably confident, but he probably is a bit cocky and maybe doesn't show his like perform as well and train and putting in as much effort as the other players, and maybe he is being kind of disciplined for that a bit. But he offers a lot when he's on the pitch, and
is that someone that you need, Roddy? Is that someone you need? Is that someone that you'd be willing to spend 90 plus million on?
Yeah,
Someone that doesn't work as hard in training and that probably has a little bit of a personality that if it's not going for him.
I think you're not gonna get a player who, like, there's not many players out there who don't have that. Maybe we're just hearing about it more with Sancho because it's a deal that's been big, and people are talking about it. You're sick of talking about it. People need something to say, Glenn.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So they'll pick up on those little things. So I hope it's not too big of a deal, and I hope if it is something that it can be knocked out of them. So the big games for me in the Euros are that England-Germany game. Then we have Portugal-Belgium. Belgium, we suppose, are
it's
big
another
to win.
That's another great game. Wow.
A lot of them will be their last tournament, as I think you said, Glenn. There.
These are the games, lads, that you want now. You know what I mean? These games are unmissable now. You know what I mean? You could miss group stage games because you knew there's 3 teams going through, but now you can't get away with the big games now. So that Portugal Belgium game is huge.
You can't look past Belgium as well. They're they're a good squad. They are probably aging a little bit now, so you're thinking it's now or never for them if they can pull something. But a lot of people are overlooking them, and they've some quality in that team, bar their centre backs, which are a bit aging. But De Bruyne, man, Tielemans, Lukaku,
Raymond, Jesus.
The Hazards. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are forgetting about Hazard, man. I know he's off the boil a long time now, but
a lot of talk about the size of his hole that is in there.
Yeah, there is.
During the week.
Yeah, he's bigger hole than Essien, doesn't he?
Yeah, and apparently it's very important to his game.
It is. The glue.
And I suppose the other game for us is Wales-Denmark. Probably 2 not the biggest teams, but Denmark going into that with a lot of expectation, but a lot of momentum.
They've done well, and I think they're the surprising team. There's been a lot of voice on them, and they've done okay. And I think that'd be a good game as well because both teams are on par, really, aren't they?
Yeah.
There's not much difference between them two.
And Daniel James is in there performing quite well. What do you reckon, Glenn?
Yeah, I think he's done very well. I think he's
Daniel James for a hat-trick. He's gonna get a hat-trick. Daniel James hat-trick
against the Dance.
You put your money on that, right?
No way. But he has been playing well. Fair play to him. What's going to happen with him?
Look, I think Denmark are probably going to run out a little bit of steam. I think they were running on adrenaline. Obviously, what happened to Christian Eriksen is never nice. But the last 2 games they played was in Denmark, so they had that emotional, reaction from the crowd and everything. Obviously, you pick up on that and it drives you on. And you know what I mean? Who did he beat to go through? Who did he beat? Was it Switzerland or something? Was it? I don't know who it was. Christensen scored a goal. It was a FIFA-like goal. But it's like the crowd dragged them over the line. I think they might run out of steam. They have a great chance of getting through against Wales, but also Wales have a great chance of getting through against Denmark. But I think after that...
Russia, Glenn.
What?
They beat Russia.
Was
Russia, yeah. That was an emotional roller coaster, really, just in terms of that they had to go out and they had to win, you know what I mean? And I think the crowd played a big, huge part in that. But I think this game's in Amsterdam now. I think it's in the Netherlands now. I'm not too sure. I think I read a quote by James saying that, not having any Wales fans there or something, you know what I mean, is a big, disappointment. I don't know whether we're going into a stage where in the Netherlands where you're not allowed to have any crowds in or something. I'm not too sure now, but that's what I just when I read that by James, I thought maybe they're not letting fans in. You know what I mean? I can't see the Denmark fans being allowed to go and Wales fans not. You know what I mean? I could have it wrong, but that's just what I read. But I'd expect whoever goes through there, lads, is going out in the next round.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like so
against the big boys.
Republic or Netherlands. Czech Republic.
They're not the Czech Republic are, they're raising some eyebrows already. They're not too bad, man. They're a nice, neat little team, you know what I mean? Who's that big striker they have up front? He scored against Scotland and all he did. And he got clattered with an elbow he did against Croatia and then stepped up and scored a penalty. I'd expect the Netherlands to go through on that one, I would. The only thing that might might change that is that there was a lot of pressure on Frank de Boer there, the Netherlands. There's a lot of hate on him. They say that he doesn't play the football that, the total football that the Netherlands are known for. Like, but I've seen the Netherlands playing this competition, and they've done really well, I think. You know what I mean? They've been exciting to watch. But come out, you know what I couldn't believe the other day, lads? Memphis Depay has gone to Barcelona.
Yeah. For a small fee as well. It wasn't anything major.
Yeah, he actually went on a free, Ray, really. They just paid his compensation or something he might pay, but his contract was up, like, you know what I mean? But it's just mad, isn't it?
We had something in that clause where, like,
the buyback clause, yeah, the first option on him, yeah.
I wonder why we didn't,
But it's just mad why he's gone to Barcelona, though, isn't it? You look at it that way, like.
Yeah, well, there is that manager there, your man Koeman, innit? So he's trying to build something. They needed serious rebuilding, and he's been playing well in that French league. He has, Aguero out there as well. They're going to be some force.
Yeah, but so I suppose we can look forward to the next games. Kicking off, let me tell you, what day is that? Geez, when are they kicking off? The 27th?
Saturday, I think. Yeah, I think it's Saturday.
Yeah.
The first games are Saturday. There's a bit of a break now, like, so. It's a bit strange not having the football on the telly there tonight, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? You would miss it.
Tonight all day. Jesus Christ, couldn't get away from it sometimes.
But that's what I'm saying. It's all them watered down games are gone now. Like, this is great. Saturday on, it's the big one.
Yeah, big one. And boys, we're gonna follow it. So if I'm not mistaken, if I have this right now, Netherlands, Czech Republic is the first game coming in. So like you just said there, Glenn, Czech Republic probably a bit underrated. So I'd say that'll be a very good game to watch. It's gonna be exciting times, boys. United players doing well across the tournament.
Right, boys, look, just before we go there, because I know we're getting to that stage. Let's just do a prediction for the England-Germany game, yeah? Let's do a prediction for that. I'm
gonna get this right anyway.
Right, I'm gonna go 2-1 Germany, I am. I think England
England are going now?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. I just think the way the media are building it, everything's against Germany. England are now all of a sudden, you know what I mean, up here compared to Germany. Like, and I know Germany are going through a little bit of a patch. I think your man Joachim Löw's, I think he's finished at the end of this tournament anyway. I don't think there's any way he could carry on. Like, Germany aren't playing well, but I think when it comes to England and Germany, it's basically like a derby. I think form goes out the window. And when you look back over the years, Germany have an act of beating England, you know what I mean? And in big games as well. You go back to Euro 96, the semi-final, beating them on penalties. And the thing that got me there was if Jordan Henderson, right, coming out and talking to the media, and he's saying, yeah, it's a big game, looking forward to it. And then he talks about that ghost goal that Lampard scored that wasn't given in the 2010 World Cup. Germany go on to win 4-1. I'm saying to myself, like, do you really want players coming out in your international team and saying stuff like that? I don't think they should. You let the media speculate and build that game up like that. You don't do it. I don't think you should. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I think the midfield battle, I think the Germans win that with you.
So what are you saying?
Now go ahead.
What score are you saying?
I'm saying 2-1 Germany.
2-1 Germany. Okay, Ray. What do we have here?
Don't know. I don't think England are going out. I think there's one more game in there at least. I think they're going to beat them. I don't know the score, but I just think England have a little bit more for them off the bench. And if form does go out the window, but I just don't think you can turn it on when you want it either. If
England are staying at Wembley, if I'm not mistaken.
England had a good game coming up to it. Germany didn't really play well at all. And I know it's a tough group, but I think England are going to beat them. I'd say 2-1 England, right, and see what happens. Are you going to take that?
I don't know. It's up in the air, really, because like you said there, Ray, Germany's energy in the last game just wasn't there.
Yeah.
And England do have the players, but you don't see them coming on making huge impacts, you know what I mean? Like even in that last game 1-0, like they could have got more. They could have went out and pushed for a few more, but they were happy.
This is the problem with England. They get into a position in a game where they're the dominant team, and they can't sustain it. Czech Republic, No, I know they said they're you know what I mean, they are a dangerous team. But I just felt that that Czech Republic were there for the taking in the second half. You know what I mean? England were in total
Yeah,
control
they
of
were.
that game. But then
They were.
England it's like there's something in that mindset where they all just sit off, do you know what I mean? And allow the opposition to have the ball and all, you know what I mean? They get nervous.
The opposition didn't even have the ball. Like Czech Republic didn't push on that much in the second half.
That's what I'm saying though, Rory. But England, well, I don't want to say camped in the half, but you look at Harry Kane and all, and he was at the top of the halfway line, like, do you know what I mean? Like he was borderline in his own half, like, do you know what I'm saying? And I think you're looking at Czech Republic, they didn't do anything to capitalise on that. But you're looking at Germany and you're looking at the likes of Tony Kroos and all, and if he senses that and he's given the time, as Ray was saying earlier, a great pass at the ball to pick out, you know, runs in behind it or whatever, then you know what I mean? England.
I look at player for player. You know, England definitely have the better squad this time around, and it's not often, you know, against Germany you can say that. And I just think that, you know, Calvin Phillips can do a job on Tony Kroos. I think he can get into him just the same way Pogba tried to put him off his game, not let him. And them runs in behind that you were saying are there for England as well all game.
Yeah, well,
clean sheet as well. Clean sheet.
Yeah.
But Roy, I'm gonna be a little bit controversial. Let's say, well, not controversial to myself probably, but I'm gonna say that they're gonna keep the clean sheet and England will do a 1-0 on Germany.
Sweet.
So no one went for penalties, what?
Yeah.
Could do it.
Change. No.
Anyway, boys, we'll leave it at that. Good chat as always.
So
and, I suppose we'll be back next week. We'll be chatting about the games and look forward to talking to you then.
Right.
See you later, lad, yeah.
See you later.